Welcome. Welcome to the President's residence in Jerusalem. I'm really moved to have such a group of women here together. Raz Ben-Ami, you came back from Gaza, and your husband was there for a long time. Yuli, your daughter, who fought for you and for Ohad, her father, along with her two sisters, amazing sisters. Mונטנה, you're a real social media influencer worldwide. And it's not your first time in this place, and it's not the first time we meet, because you do such fantastic work for Israel and for explaining humanity, really. Thank you. And Natalie, I hope I'll say your family name correctly. Natalie Sanandaji.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. You got it on the first try.
Thank you for being with us, and we'll hear your story from the Nova Festival and how you turned your survival and your pain into resilience and power. So I welcome all of you here. It is really a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Raz, should we start with you?
I'm glad that God was back.
So are we. And can I just say on a personal note, so a while back, after Raz came back, we didn't know each other, of course. I knew her daughters, and we were all glad to see you back. But I remember I called you one day. I heard you weren't in a good place. And I said, Raz, can I come over?
Yes.
And I came over, and there was a click, as happens between women sometimes. And I really love you.
I remember I met Michal and I said, wow, I would like to be a friend. And then it happened.
Wow. Yeah, but tell us, your story and the fact that Ohad came back.
I was kidnapped from my home in Kibbutz Be'eri. My husband Ohad was kidnapped first. Then I was kidnapped. And we weren't kidnapped together. And it was very frightening in the morning when the terrorists came inside the kibbutz. We heard a lot of shooting, and they were screaming in Arabic. And we saw in the WhatsApp that houses near us get burned, and they getting into our house's neighbor. And we were just waiting to the army to come. And they told us that they are on the way. And we heard them getting into our house. They were starting to ruin things and throwing things. And we heard a lot of noise. And we also talked to our daughters that live in the kibbutz, but in a different houses. And they told us, Mom, they are shooting near us too. And later at 10 o'clock, at 10:30, my daughter's, Ella, she called the news to Danny Kushmaro because she saw her father picture in the telegram with underwears, and she told him, my father is kidnapped. They took him into Gaza. And he didn't know what to tell her. He asked her, how old are you? And no one could believe that people were kidnapped to Gaza. I think it was the first time.
I think it was the first realization. We were all watching TV. That was our source of information. And that was the first person who said, I saw my father in Gaza. And I think we were all in shock. It was really shocking.
And she didn't know what to do. So she told me later, Ella, that she wanted to go out to see what's about me. And her boyfriend called her and he told her, you're not going out. Then she realized there is a lot of danger to go out from the house. Lucky for us, he was there to hold her, not to go out. And then they came in and the shelter and they took Ohad first. And I heard him said, I can't breathe. Oad was shot when I told him to go to close the shelters so the terrorists can come in. So he shot him in his arm, but he was okay. He went into the shelter and said, wow, Shema Israel. He was so white, he sat on the bed and didn't move. I took a blanket and sat on the side of the room, under the blanket. And okay, they came in, they took him. And after a while, they came back, put the light on, and they saw me under the blanket. And they grabbed me by the arms very strongly to the fence. I lived 2 meters from the fence. So they took me to the fence and they put me on a motorcycle. And after 15 minutes, I was in Gaza. And then they asked me question, how old I am, what nationality have I got, all kinds of questions, and I wrote it down. I gave them Yuli number, call her, tell her I'm okay. It was the important thing for me that I would call her and tell them I'm okay, but it wasn't their attention. And then a person came, I didn't see his face because he was covered, and they told me he's in Islam, you go with him. So we went together, and he took me into his house with the car, and no one it's his family house, but no one was home because they told them to go outside and hide them before, because probably knew that what's going to happen. Only his father was there and his brother. His father was talking to me in Hebrew. He was working in Israel, so he knew Hebrew. So he was talking to me in Hebrew. And I was there alone. After 4 days, the IDF bombed the house when I was there alone. And then the terrorists came quickly and told me, you have to come. So we went outside, we went on a car, and after we left, the house was bombed completely.
There was knock on the roof, and then she saw water going on, and the terrorists came and told her, we need to go now. And then the army, the Air Force, bombed the house.
Wow.
So I went to Gaza for 1 day. I was barefoot. I didn't took my shoes when I went from Be'eri. They just grabbed me with my pajama. They gave me something to cover myself, and a hijab, you call it, and a dress. And I went to the streets of Gaza like this with him, hand by hand, and he told me, now you are my mother. Don't look to people in the eyes, just down. And after,
What did you feel walking like this in the street?
that I was barefoot and it's very hot. That's all I felt.
Wow.
I don't know, maybe the adrenaline was so high from the running out from the house, so I didn't notice the other things because it was very, very hot and everything was very dirty. That's what I remember. And we went to a house and we waited there. And then he said, in the evening, he said, I have a surprise for you. We are going to another house. There will be there 4 surprises. 4 other hostages from Israel. You will be with them. And I forgot to tell you something. When I was in his house, I told him, please go check about my husband, see if he's alive. I gave him his name and everything. And in the evening he came and he told me, your husband is alive, he's okay. I saw him, I talked to him. So I said, wow, thank God he is okay.
At least you knew.
At least I knew that he was okay. And so he told me, you're going to be with other hostages. And we went into a car and we went to a house and they opened the door and they opened the bedroom door and I saw my husband, Oad. So we hugged and they looked each other in the eyes and said, wow, lucky us to be together. Not in here, but lucky us to be together. After a few days, they brought us another a girl, 14, Gali Tarashansky. So they didn't know. I asked her, where have you been? She said, I've been to 2 family houses. And then they brought me to you. So lucky for us, she was with us, and lucky for her, she was with us. So we've been there for 1 month, In the start, there was water and food, and water to flush the water. And as time go past, there wasn't enough water, and a bit of food, not enough. And I'm vegetarian, so I ate pita with cheese. That's what I ate. And the sanitary side,
The sanitary conditions, yeah.
very, very bad, because we couldn't take a shower because there was no water, and we couldn't flush the water because there was no water. And after that, the terrorists felt that it's very dangerous to stay there. So they took us to another house, and we started all from start because it was a bombed house. So we have to clean there and put all the mattress and the windows back, and from start. And we've been there for 1 month, and also the sanitaries was very bad. I don't want to talk about it because it's really disgusts me what was there.
And how did they let you know that you were going back?
One evening before, they told us, now we're going to make a movie of you. You talk in Hebrew and in English, also Gali and also Ahad. Everyone will make a movie. They told us what to write down and what to say. And they pictured us. And then the other day, 15 minutes before we went back, they told us, now you are going back. Gali, they told first to Gali, you are going back. And after 10 minutes, they came to me and they told me, you are going back also. So it was very, I wanted to go out, but I left Ahad behind. So it was very mixed emotions. Because I couldn't stay there because, not because I wanted to go out so much, because I prefer to stay with Ahad, but I have a medicine that I have to take, and it was finished, and I can't live without this medicine. So
you had to go back.
I had to
save
go back.
your life.
Yes, to save my life. Actually, save my life. Yes. So they took us in a car, me and Gali, and I hugged Ahad first. We were both crying that he was staying there and I have to go.
Little did you know that it would take such a long time to see him again.
I thought it would take 2 weeks. I asked the terrorist, how long would Ahad be back? And he said, 2 weeks he will be out. They believe it. They believe it also, that in 2 weeks they will be out. But it didn't happen. So they took us out, me and Gali. We went to another place. We slept there with a few hostages that was also in there. And the other morning we went to another place. חמאס, מקום של החמאס, איפה שהם יוצאת.
Like a command.
כן, command center of the Hamas. They took another pictures of us, and only on 10 o'clock, after they bring all the hostages that have to go out together, only at 10 o'clock we went to the Red Cross.
10 at night.
10 at night. We went to the Red Cross, and from the Red Cross we went to Rafiah, to a hospital, Egypt, and then asked about my daughters, because I didn't know they were alive, and they didn't know what to tell me. So I asked them, okay, give me something to relax, a pill to relax, that I will, if I have to hear the news, that I will be, I can hear it, no one can hear it, but be better with it. And then from Rafiah, we went to Kerem Shalom, and in Kerem Shalom, I saw someone for the army, and she told me that they are alive.
The girls were fine. The girls were fine and fighting. Fighting. We all saw them.
Kicking.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I went to the shower, and I went out, and they were screaming on me, Mom, we want to talk to you, and you go and take a shower now. And we went on a masok, a helicopter to the hospital, and then the war And the first thing I told them, my daughters, I left your dad in Gaza.
I know, we all heard that. I know, it was a very moving get together with you and your daughters. It was heartbreaking because the first thing you said was about Ohad.
And after 2 days, I was still in the hospital. After 2 days, I asked them to take me to the Kikar Chatufim, Hostage
Square.
Yes, to see what's going on, because I didn't believe that there was so noise about us, because I didn't see TV, I didn't have radio.
You didn't know, you didn't have any information, because we know some of the hostages do.
I asked not to radio. On my first place when I was in the first apartment, just when I was kidnapped, he gave me to listen to the radio because his brother was murdering people in Be'eri. So he wants to know what's going on in Be'eri. So 3 days I was listening to the radio and I knew what's happened in the Nova. And I knew that with the 100 people from my kibbutz were killed. And I told him, no, I don't want to listen to the radio no more. So all the time that I was in Gaza, I didn't listen to the radio. Because I didn't want to hear about my daughters, maybe they were killed. I didn't want to hear it from the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I didn't know nothing.
And when Ohad came back, I think it was such a shocking image. You know, we're recording this a few days after the most Israeli week of the year, beginning with Holocaust Memorial Day, then continuing with the Memorial Day for the fallen and victims of terror, and then Independence Day. And, you know, it's full of emotions. And when people think about the Holocaust in images, I think this is what shocked many of us when we saw Ohad coming out from the dungeons, to see him after such a long period. And it was a shocking image.
Ohad was in shock to see himself. You know, when in Reim, he took a shower and he was in shock.
And it was the first time he saw himself in the mirror.
Yes. He told me, I think if I would live there for 1 month, I would be dead, because my body was eating himself, because he is not young. And actually he told me that.
And Yuli, you fought for your parents.
Yeah, from the beginning, we were in the kibbutz. I woke up 6:30 from my phone alarms, and I sleep in the safe room at my house. So I woke up, I saw there's missiles, but I saw it's near us, but I said, okay, I'm used to it.
And I'm in a safe room.
So I got back to sleep.
It was a terrible sentence. I'm used to it.
Yeah. And 2 minutes later, my phone didn't stop to move. So I saw again what is going on. And I saw that there's missiles to the center of Israel. So I said, this is not normal. So at that time, I started to try to understand what is going on. I saw the news. And no one knew nothing at that point. And I think it was 7 in the morning, something like that. And we got a message to an application of the kibbutz that said that someone saw a terrorist outside a house of one woman from the kibbutz. So I was with my boyfriend, so I asked him if he closed the door, and he told me yes. So again, unfortunately, I'm used to terrorists coming in, so I knew what to do, close the lights, be quiet, and just wait. But at the moment that they told us that they found the terrorist, I said, okay, so it's over. But it wasn't over, and we started to hear the shooting. So I wrote to my mom, and I asked her how they are. And she told me, yes, I hear the shooting, but don't worry, no one is going to come to you. You are okay. 7.5, yes, 8.5. She told me that they are circling the house, and we didn't know what to do. So I called everyone I know, tried to send someone, but we didn't understand the amount of the terrorists inside. And I think it was 9.5. She told me that the terrorists are inside the house, and that, she said, that she heard them on the second floor, on the bathroom, throwing everything, ruined everything. And at 10:07, I remember this minute, Ella, my sister, sent me a message that my father sent to her, that say they are in the shelters from Israel. They come to us. And I remember that we didn't really understand what it means, because obviously we thought that they are dead or something. And then in 11, in the morning, we really saw the picture of my father, but we didn't know nothing about my mother. And for 16 hours we were in the shelter. The army came first to Ella, my sister, and she wrote me, and Natalie was in Nahal Oz, and Ella wrote me if the army came to me. So I said no, and she said, okay, I'm coming. And she came with 5 soldiers.
Sounds like Ella. It sounds like her.
Yes.
Very feisty. Yes.
I'm not going out from there without you, Yuli.
Yeah, because she thought that I'm the only family she got, because we didn't know nothing about my grandma, my aunt, her husband, the children. We didn't know nothing.
And Natalie, you didn't hear from her from Nahal Oz?
No, only at night, because she didn't have signal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we didn't know nothing about her. We lost communication with her in 12 in the noon.
Okay.
With all the family. We didn't know nothing about anyone. Only me and Ella was speaking, because we have electricity in the safe.
Okay.
So we can charge the phone and speak. And she came 8.5. She got me out, and then we started to run and bring other people from other houses. And we went like 12 people with 5 soldiers, 2 dogs together. And we came to a place where there was a white car of the terrorist, and we couldn't pass it because they shot the galgal.
The wheel.
Yeah. They shot the wheels of the car, our people. So they couldn't use the car. And we went from the other side, and then we saw a lot of things. I remember we saw an army car on fire. We saw a lot of bodies. So, and then shooting start on us. So we needed to run away. We went very quickly. We got into the, to the opening of Berry.
The gate.
Yeah, we got to the gate, and there someone from the army came and asked me if there's missing people in my family. So I told them about my father, and he said that he knows. And then we told them about my mother, and he didn't know nothing. So we thought maybe she's in the food dining room.
Okay.
Because there was a message that there are 50 hostages
In the dining room.
So we had the hope that she was there, and we spoke with the soldiers, and they said, yes, now they are going to clear the dining room, and we are waiting. No one came. this was at 12 at night, and then again, a terrorist came and started shooting at us. And thank God there was a lot of soldiers there, so they saved us. And at that point, they understand we can
can't stay there. So they evacuated you.
Yeah, with army cars, because they didn't have the organization to take so many people at that point. We got to Netivot. From Netivot, everyone went to another place. And then all the rest of my family came. Ella was waiting for everyone. And they went to the Dead Sea. No, not the Dead Sea yet. The Haifa, everywhere else. And then 2 weeks later to the Dead Sea. But we still didn't know nothing about Mom. And
when did you find out?
2 weeks after, my aunt called me and said, you need to see Facebook. So I got in, and I saw the picture of Mom with the terrorists around there. And then they sent us also a video of how they took her, from where, and everything. And we understand that she's hostage also. And I think from the first day, my first interview in English was the 8th of October. Yeah, because we understand that we need to fight. And then after 54 days, we got the message. The time is coming. And she, from our point of view, she didn't were on the list because it was only mothers and children. And then
so you weren't sure.
Yeah. And after 6 days, they called us and said that she's on the list. We were very, very happy. And then she came along to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I look at Ohad in the house now, and we're looking at each other, and we said we are so lucky. Yeah. It's a miracle that we are here. We are saying it to each other every day, few times a day. When we sit together on the sofa, we are saying we are so lucky. I wish all the hostages will be back. That's all we're talking about.
That's all we want, all of us, is for the 59 hostages alive and the bodies that have to be recovered, that they should all be back. I don't think we can be whole again as an Israeli society until we have all of them back, and then we can start our healing process.
It's also something that all the hostages, they came back. We can't heal until everyone was home.
Yeah, Adi came back, he said, I left to my daughter, he said, I left 5 of your brothers in Gaza. We need to bring them back.
I remember we got together with your wonderful family, and it was, first of all, it was a miracle to see Ohad. And he's so rational, and he's so strong and so resilient. And you could see that he felt so responsible because he was the responsible adult.
Yeah.
And in all those captivity days. And he was so adamant that everyone should come back. And we could see that in the way he described his love and his responsibility for the others. And it's very apparent.
And it takes so long now. I can't believe it takes so long.
We didn't expect this to be so long. But yet, I think we are a resilient people. And we have wonderful people here. We really do. And we have wonderful friends that help us, like you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be all of your friends. And Israel's friend, of course.
You know, I think it's very important because this is part of the message. This is part of the way people have to understand. And you make people around the world, your followers, understand what is really going on here. And, you know, the first time I met Montana was when we sang together with Mia. Remember Mia who came back with the little dog, Bella? So they happened to be here when Montana was here as well. And these two just sang together.
We got you guys to sing as well.
A little bit.
Yeah. It was a
A
beautiful, beautiful moment. Well, first I just want to say, like, I am so honored to have met all of you before many times and build relationships with each of you. And you two specifically, to be here with you. This is my first time seeing you since Ohad has been home. And I, like, when I saw those images and videos, like, literally it can make me cry again, because to know how hard you guys fought, like, every day, literally every single day, didn't give up one day. And to see those pictures, like, I just know how much went into that moment. Let it makes me tear up, but, like, it's so emotional seeing you guys here now, because I really love you so much, like my family, and I've been so invested in everything with you guys, and I hope you have felt that even when I'm not here. But I write you guys all the time. But really, it's really amazing. And I think me specifically, and most Jews around the world, we really do feel so attached to everyone here. And even though we're there, I hope you feel that love and support, you know, because we are all fighting, and all of us here are doing our part. You know, people thank me all the time, but there's nothing to thank me for. We all have to do our part. And if my part is on social media and sharing these personal stories and sharing everything about Israel and the hostages, I have to do it. And there's no option. That's why I've been here 6 times since October 7th. But really, and just like Natalie, building a relationship with Natalie and CAM, Combat Anti-Semitism Movement, who has been a part of most of my trips to Israel, and seeing Natalie's resilience and everything she's experienced, and turning it into this passion and incredible work, and everything you do for Israel, and your kindness and warmth, which is, I feel like, not always common for such a leader and person in power. It's really admirable, and I look up to you in so many ways.
I think we're all human beings, and we share the pain, but we also share the strength, and I think it empowers us, the fact that we're together. And when we met Ohad and saw you as a whole family again, it was really a miracle. It's beyond a miracle. And now we need this miracle to work for others as well. And I want to ask you, Natalie, you went through such a difficult day on October 7th, and then you took that into so much energy and empowering others as well. Can you tell us?
So I'll go into a little bit of the day of October 7th, and then I'll go into what I've been doing since then. I'm an American Jew, just like Montana, born to an Israeli mother and an Iranian father. And I've been coming to Israel every year, basically my entire life. And in 2023, I found myself in Israel for a friend's wedding and ended up at the Nova festival. And I came with friends who were all Israeli. And, you said that when you heard the alarms, that you were kind of used to it, so you didn't really pay much attention to it. And it was a very similar situation at the Nova festival. I was there. We arrived at around 1 a.m. and at around 3, we decided to take a rest and wake up for the sunrise. And by the time sunrise came, we woke up to the sound of rockets instead of waking up to the music. And when one of our friends came over to wake us up, she was very calm, and she was smiling, and she nudged us awake, and she was like, "Hi guys, Boker Tov, good morning." And she was like, "I just want you to know a few rockets were intercepted, but it's fine. It's normal for the area that we're in. It's also a holiday. We know that our neighbors like to, disturb our peace on the holidays. So nothing to worry about. Like, everything's going to be fine. The party's going to continue. And I just wanted you guys to be awake." And it's kind of this sense of that for all the Israelis, this was normal. But for me, it was my first time experiencing such a thing. Even though I've been in Israel almost every year my entire life, it just so happens I had never been in Israel at a time of war. So for me, I really disassociated from the beginning because I think it was too much for my mind and body to handle. And, from there, the festival security asked everyone pack up their things and evacuate to our cars, and we get in our cars, and then they start yelling at us to get out of our cars and start running. And at the time, we didn't understand why they would tell us to run from rockets. It didn't make sense, but we listened to them, and we pull our car over, and we're sitting in the car for a few moments, and that's when we hear the first gunshots. And right away, you realize, there's terrorists on foot. It's much more than just rockets. It's much more than just, the typical rocket fire during the holidays. And we started running right away, and we ran from rocket fire from Hamas for about 4 hours until a very brave man named Moshe Sati came and found us and saved us and took us to his hometown of Patish. And him and his son actually drove back and forth from Patish to Nova for about 8 or 10 hours that day. And they saved about 300 to 400 lives, risking their own lives to save other people. And it's really thanks to brave people like him that kind of took things into their own hands and went out and risked their own lives to save others that I'm here today. And, from there in the days following, I really realized that I was still disassociating. And because I was disassociating, I felt that I could share my story without breaking down every time I shared it. And I knew that that was something that a lot of the other survivors didn't have. A lot of them were not in a position where they felt that they could share their story without, re-traumatizing themselves. And I also understood, I had the perfect English because I'm American. And as an American, I didn't do the army, and I felt that this was the one thing I could do to give back to all those who weren't as fortunate as I was. I couldn't go back to reserves because I wasn't in the army, and I felt that using my voice to kind of be a voice for the voiceless was the one thing I could do. And I started interviewing about 4 days after the attacks. And from there, the Combat Anti-Semitism movement reached out to me. And first I went with them to DC, and I got to share my story with senators and the second gentleman and really anyone who was willing to hear me and listen. And it was very empowering. And then I started working for them full time and have been with them ever since. And
they do fantastic work.
They do amazing work, and I'm very honored to be part of their team. And there's almost this like irony behind my whole story. As someone who's also Iranian and has a very Iranian last name, I've received so many messages of love and support from the Iranian diaspora. And it's, the goal of the Islamic regime and their proxies like Hamas was to really separate all of us through this war. But actually, I've seen how much has actually brought so many of us together, because we all realize that we have the same enemy and that we're fighting that same enemy. And I've seen so much unity through all this horror. And that's kind of if anything, it's like the small silver lining in all this terror, is like to see that unity, not only of the Jewish people, but also of the Iranian diaspora and of so many allies that we have. It's hard to remember that we have allies. But as someone who is very outspoken, I do receive a lot of messages of support, and it's important to remember that we have a lot of allies around the world.
And it's great to have people like you that turn their experience and are able to share it. And it's such a powerful message because it comes from you. You experienced it. It's not storytelling. It's your own experience, your own story. So I think this is super important. And the fact that you turned it into a message, it's, as you say, it's a universal message. At the end of the day, it's, Raz was kidnapped in her pajamas literally from her bed. The experiences that Julie went through, and then the need to fight to get her parents back. This is not something that we should take as a natural thing. This is absolutely inhuman and not something that we should understand, and people should understand that basically we're fighting the fight for the free world. As you say, we do have allies, and we do have people that understand that we have to fight evil. And it's as simple as that.
Well, it's the Jewish story throughout history is that, they try to wipe us out, but
even part of like almost letting them wipe us out is, let's say after these horrible things that happened to us, if we stayed quiet, if we didn't, take that horrible thing and try to turn it into something good, that would almost be like letting them win. But like you going and fighting for your mom and you continuing to fight for other hostages, and me being outspoken and Montana being so outspoken, that's part of just not letting them win and showing them that they can't break us. They can try, but they never will.
No, I think that's, the reaction in the Jewish world and in Israelis, the fact that when in the first days, when there was such an emergency, people were flying in from all over the world, were looking for a seat on a plane, and it was scarce, but they managed to find it and come back. The sense of belonging here and the sense of togetherness of both Israelis and the Jewish world.
I was going to say, I think that for me, I think that's what happened to me. Like I felt this sense of responsibility. I'm the grandchild of Holocaust survivors, and my grandparents always instilled in me the importance of Israel, right? Of that they believe the Holocaust would have never happened if Israel existed back then, right? And I grew up hearing their stories my whole life. And when October 7th happened, it was this thing, like, I don't know if it's necessarily generational trauma or what it necessarily was, but it was something inside of me that said, like, immediately I started posting. It wasn't like I thought about it or I considered, is this going to ruin my career or is this going to be a bad thing? There was no thoughts about that at all whatsoever. It was like, I have to do this. And this was even before all the propaganda and the craziness started coming in. It was just an immediate thing for me. And I actually went to a rally in Los Angeles 1 week after October 7th. And that was my first time at a rally. Now I've been to hundreds, but that was my first time at a rally. And I was so depressed that whole week. And then I stood at this rally and there were so many other people there that also felt what I was feeling. And they were also fighting and they were also crying and then happy and all the things that go into the Jewish people in general. 1 minute you're crying and the next minute you're dancing, right? And that's just the story of Israel in general and the Jewish people. And then I was like, okay, I'm not alone in this. And then I really obviously went so hard in it, but it is a sense of responsibility for me that I feel I have to. I feel like that my grandparents survived the Holocaust and what my ancestors and everyone went through. This is the time that everyone, Jewish and not Jewish, by the way, should be standing up and doing the right thing, fighting for humanity. You don't just have to be Jewish.
I want to tell, I totally agree. So first of all, it was your instinct. And I want to tell you that I never imagined that as the first lady of the State of Israel, I would deal with the subject of sexual violence that was used as a weapon of war. I never thought this is an issue that I would deal with. This was really not a part of the conflict that we lived here for, unfortunately, for so many years. But I think it is also important for us as women, not only to bring the voice of the Israeli women who do not have a voice anymore because they were murdered, but this is the voice of women, period. It's a universal message because we can't allow others in other conflicts to use sexual violence as a tool of war, as a weapon. And it's unfortunately happening in many other conflicts in the world. And we know from experts that I've been talking to that there's a mimicking effect. People copy what happened in one conflict. They take it up to the next level in the next conflict. And I feel that this is one of the more important things that I'm doing, is just giving out this universal message on behalf of the women that were hurt, and on behalf of our hostages that are still there. And we don't know what they're on. We know, unfortunately, that they're undergoing terrible torture in many cases. And I think it was your instinct and your resilience and definitely your powerful reactions to show the human face and the strengths in the face of evil forces. And I think this is the instinct you had. It was a very human one.
that is one of the reasons also why I felt like it was so important to speak out so soon after, because I felt that it's so easy to dehumanize what happened to the Jewish people on October 7th when you're just looking at statistics, when you're just looking at numbers. But I figured, maybe if I put my face out there, if someone sees my face and they think to themselves, this could have been my daughter or my sister or my friend, that it would feel human again, that they would look at us as human beings and not just numbers. And in some cases, I do feel that it touched people in a different way and it made them look at things differently. But obviously, it doesn't always, you don't always get the reaction that you hope for.
Yeah. Montana, you were telling me about the children, the movie you made, and what effect this had.
I think that you never know the effect you're going to have on someone, which is, I'm sure, why you spoke out everywhere and anywhere that would hear you and listen to you, because, and especially with the power of social media, you never know whose page your video or your picture is going to end up on, and you never know where it's just going to click, and yes, I made a documentary called The Children of October 7th, where I interviewed kids ages 11 to 17 that were either taken hostage or their parents were hostage, or they witnessed Hamas murder their parents right in front of them or their siblings. And this is something no child should ever have to experience. My grandmother was 13 years old when she was taken to Auschwitz, and when she had to witness her mother get beaten up basically to her death and then dragged to the gas chambers for her death. She was 13 years old. So hearing these kids share their testimonies, not even stories, like you said, it's not storytelling, these are testimonies from all of you, it was heartbreaking. But for some reason, this documentary, and I'm so grateful for it, is clicking with some people. They never got it before. And for some reason now they're getting it, hearing from these children. So sharing these personal, individual testimonies, experiences are so important, because like you said, people might just relate to that for some reason. That just might wake them up. And for me, even sometimes I do dance videos, and sometimes people are like, why would you do a dance video about the Nova festival, which Natalie was in? Or why would you do a dance video about the hostages, which you two or both were in? Because sometimes that's what's going to do it, to wake somebody up that doesn't necessarily want to hear the news or doesn't want to hear what's going on, but they see a video that they think is a dance video at first or a music video, and then you're hit with the reality of what happened at Nova or what is going on with these hostages. And those videos get put out to different people's algorithms and feeds that might have never heard. When I do these videos in public, do you know how many people don't know about what happened on October 7th? They genuinely don't know. They genuinely don't know about the hostages. They don't know about the women. They don't know about the children. They just don't know. So that's why it's so important to keep educating and sharing, and whether it's through a documentary or through social media, whatever you can do to keep getting it into people's heads, because you never know what's going to just wake them up.
And that's why I think it is important that you keep, as people that experienced this terrible experience in Gaza and came back. And as you said, you were lucky to come back. But the fact that you keep talking about it and you keep bringing up the subject also on world platforms is super important. And when people ask the president and me, what should we do? We say, keep talking. Just keep talking about it. Because, like you say, you never know who's listening, who's watching, who's getting the message.
You want the right people to hear you, but you never know who is the right people who would hear you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to thank you all, because I think this is so important that you bring your strength and your stories and your positive energy to do such good, and to bring the stories of those who can't. And thank you for being that voice for others. Thank you so much for coming here again and again and being with us. It's always wonderful to see you.
Thank you
It is
so much.
always wonderful
Thank
to
you.
see you. And thank you. Your family is really an example, and we want other families to have the good faith.
I want to.
and to see this picture, this family picture again of those that we can still save and bring home. And I thank you, because I know it's not always easy to share again the experience and to go through it again. So I thank you so much for doing that, and then bringing all your emotion for such a positive testimony and so positive look at the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm doing it for Elkanah. I want him to meet his son again, to see his son again. He have to come back and see his son again.
Yeah.
Every hostages will have to come
We
back.
all have to see them back.
Yes, to see the family, to meet the family again, and be lucky as us. I wish and I hope for everyone.
We all pray for that. Thank you. Thank you all. You're wonderful.
Thank you so
Thank you.
Thank you.